Hello, mathematicians. We are working on lesson 2, part 2. And just like our growth mindset, what we use in class, I made a little mistake, and I actually had to stop the video, and I have to go back and remake this very beginning because I forgot to write a number in. So it happens to all of us. So here we go. You'll notice that I made a little mess, but I erased it, and I'm just going to move forward and start the video again. Okay, lesson 2, part 2. We are solving one-step inequalities by multiplying and dividing. Now, since we are multiplying and dividing, we are talking about the coefficient. So remember, coefficients have to become a 1. If you need to look back to your steps of equations, you can do that. But our goal today is make coefficients 1. We don't have to worry about constants or simplifying. Those are not present in these problems. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our first equation. So, or inequality. We've got a negative 4m. Negative 4m is greater than or equal to negative 4. Since this is a coefficient of negative 4, I need to make that coefficient a 1. And remember, to make a coefficient a 1, we divide it by itself. Remember, because any number over itself is a 1. So now this is a 1, and I have a 1m. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Now notice that I have a negative 4 divided by a negative 4. Well, that is also a 1. Okay, so now I have m is greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and circle this and color it in. But there is something tricky about multiplying and dividing. So what we're going to do now is we are going to check it. We did not actually have to do that in the other ones, but we're going to have to check on this one because I want you to see the trick that happens. Something is not quite right, and so we have to figure that out. So let's go ahead and put that equation back in. I have a negative 4m is greater than or equal to negative 4. If m is greater than or equal to 1, that means I have my 1 and I've colored it in. But now we've got to decide which direction do we color. So let's check 2. I'm going to stick 2 in for m and see what happens. If I put a 2 in, if I do negative 4 times a positive 2, I get a negative 8. Negative 8 is greater than negative 4. Is that true? No, it is not true. So this one does not work. So 2 is not an answer. That was a little tricky, huh? Let's check another one. If I plug in 0, let's see what happens if I plug in 0. So negative 4m is greater than or equal to negative 4. I'm going to plug in m is 0. Negative 4 times 0 is greater than or equal to negative 4. So negative 4 times 0 is greater than or equal to negative 4. Is that true? Yes, it is true. So this one was not true. This one was true. So that means 0 is an answer. So I have to shade it in the left direction. So let's go back to this. It said m is greater than or equal to 1, but that's not true. M is less than or equal to m. So there is a special rule that we need to flip the sign when multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, so there are 2 ways to make sure that you graph multiplying and dividing inequalities correctly. The first way is to check. And if you want to check all of them, you're welcome to do that. And you'll notice that you actually have to shade in the opposite direction. The second way you can do this is just flip the sign when multiplying or dividing by a negative. I don't care which method you use. Either check your answers and color in the right way, or flip the sign when multiplying or dividing by a negative. I will show you another one like that. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to actually move down. Let's just do the one just below it, okay, since that one's a good one. I have a negative 4r is greater than 16. I have a negative 4 coefficient, so I'm going to divide it by negative 4 to make it a 1. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Now, I have r is greater than a negative 4. So I'm going to go ahead and circle negative 4. I'm not going to color it in because it's just greater than. It's not equal to. Now, I need to check my answers. So remember, I said you could do one of two things. You can either check it or just flip the signs. I'm going to show you the check method again. To check, you type in the equation, negative 4r is greater than 16. And then you pick one of the r's to do, or one r. Let's do negative 3. Negative 4 times negative 3 is greater than 16. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. Is 12 greater than 16? No, it is not. So that didn't work. This one doesn't work. How about, let's try this side, negative 5. If I do negative 4 times negative 5 is greater than 16, negative 4 times negative 5 is a positive 20. Is 20 greater than 16? Yes. So I know to color in this direction. Now remember, I said you could do this one of two ways. You can check it every single time, or when you get r is greater than negative 4 and you know you divided by a negative, you just flip the sign. R is less than negative 4. Notice that my r's are all less than negative 4. Negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. Your choice. You have to pick one. Okay, let's go ahead and do number 6, just because I'm making some of these messy. Number 6 says x divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Now, just to remember how to do this, I do need a coefficient of 1 here. I wanted to show you, this looks messy because it's a fraction, right? Remember that you can write this as 1/2 x is greater than or equal to 3. Remember there is a 1 here. So you can actually pull the numbers out and have the variable by itself. Okay? So I kind of do this part in my head, but you can do it on paper if you want to. As soon as I recognize that that is its own little fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I have 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. But we know that that is now a 1, right? So I have 1x greater than or equal to 3 times 2 is 6. Now, x is greater than or equal to 6. So I'm going to circle 6. I'm going to shade it in because it's equal. And then I'm going to check one of my answers. I'm going to put in 8. Is 8 greater than 6? Okay, let's check it just in case. Remember, what happens if I put in 8? I'm going to check 8. 8 divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Is greater than or equal to 3. That is true. So that means all of these are the right answer. Okay. Now this gets a little tricky, so please practice a few. If you need me to do a couple in class, we can do that and then jump into Delta Math.